You're tuned in to Season 3 of the Bird Joy podcast, hosted by Dexter Patterson and Jason Hall. This podcast is for all the homies across the globe, a place to celebrate birds, community, and joy together. We're back with more stories from the birding world, more voices doing dope work in STEM, and more reasons to get outside and enjoy the birds. Are you ready for some bird joy? Let's go.
Today's guest is somebody that I've wanted to chat with for a very long time. She's a wildlife biologist, birder, storyteller, whose work changes how people connect with nature and specifically cemeteries and birds.
She co-founded Black Birders Week and is the author of This is a Book for People Who Love Birds, a charming, accessible guide perfect for everyone from backyard birders to seasoned spotters. But what I love most is how Danielle shows us that birds and joy can be found in places we often overlook.
She also wrote a junior's birder's handbook, a kid's guide to bird watching, and this proud papa, man, this is a very vibrant, interactive book that makes birding exciting and accessible for young people, regardless of where they live, city, suburb, it doesn't matter.
Like Cemeteries, Danielle's work illuminates the ecological importance of burial spaces and invites us to rethink North American death culture through the lens of nature. She's the heart behind the movement called #Cemetery Birders Club.
Danielle, welcome to the Bird Joy podcast.
So happy to be here, y'all. Thanks for that amazing intro.
Hey, we take pride in our introductions. You know that?
We do.
Jason and I, we view the people that we interview as like superheroes. So we feel like if the introduction needs to be like epic, like Marvel movie, we got to bring it,
We're going to start hiring Michael Bay to come in here and add some sound effects,
we could just contact the homie Christian. He used to write for Marvel too.
We could just be like,
are we doing a good enough job, Christian?
I think we joked with him too of putting together a comic about black birders that would be incredibly epic. And like in my mind, there would be superhero black birders in every region. So obviously, Danielle, you got Texas covered down there, right? Dexter would have the Midwest. I'd take the East Coast, right? We have Al and Karina down in the South, maybe. That would be a dope comic. Actually, we might need to copyright that. You got to cut this. You got to cut this from the podcast, Dexter, so we can copyright this.
Okay. Oh man, I love it. The joy is flowing early. Danielle, like I said, we're super, super, super glad that you're here. Let's start easy.
Okay.
You're joining us from Texas today. What are some cool birds you've seen this spring or early summer in Texas?
Oh man. Okay. So I personally love to see northern parulas, but we also get tropical parulas depending on where you are. So, and they also hybridize. So we'll get tropical parulas, northern parulas, and then a little mix of both in this area. So that's been really fun to see.
The hybridized tropical and northern parulas. We were just talking about hybrids.
I know. We were talking about gulls. Yeah. Now I'm going to have to Google this. So,
I know we got to see that because now when I go in and edit this, I'm going to be looking, do we have any noises of the hybrid? I'm all excited now.
And Merlin can't figure out, it'll like bounce back and forth literally with the same bird of tropical, no, northern, no, tropical, northern.
So maybe it's pulling from both species and using multiple. Oh, that's so fascinating.
That's really cool.
I had like a sound detecting device that I could point at a bird and, pick up the sound real easily. I don't know. Do you know anything about those?
Jason does.
Yeah, it's this thing called a parabola you could hook up to your phone. That would be nice if you want to get really deep in the weeds with it and let your bird nerd flag fly pretty high. This is a cool bird, man. I honestly would probably have a tough time identifying this if I wasn't in a hybrid zone.
They're pretty similar.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty dope.
The only difference is a little white dot under their eye.
So they don't have like the broken eye ring. Oh yeah, I see that. Okay, yeah, because normally the northern has the broken eye ring, right? Pretty sure. Oh, that's dope. Okay, so like this is like, I feel like we might as well just be out birding right now, right? Because we just right into the bird joy, talking about hybrid birds and recording bird song. And it's really exciting and like, it's joyful, which is what we like to focus on this show. And so like, what does bird joy feel like for you? Like describe your perfect day or moment of bird joy.
Oh man. Wow. So first off, bird joy for me is just serendipity. Like those little moments where it's just like, what are the chances that I'm here with this bird at this time, at this moment, that I happen to land right there? So all of that, and I feel like that's like every single bird you see. Like, what are the chances that this bird is here? But then especially when it's the ones like a tropical parula or something, and you get to like get eyes on it. Just there's a unreal feeling about being able to see something that's so beautiful, so up close, and just for a little fleeting moment.
Serendipity. I love that word.
Yeah.
I love that word. And those moments, right? It just feels right. You're just like, this is what that is. This is what that word feels like, you know?
I will say sometimes I feel like birders have the special power to like summon the bird. So maybe it's not serendipitous. Maybe it's just my powers, my blackbirder powers are
there you go.
Coming into full effect. And they come to me.
That's what I'm saying. You just like call them in. You know how like the homies from Captain Planet called in their powers, and Power Rangers called in their little dinosaur drone things that they got into. You know, you just calling in parulas, which I think is really dope. Yeah, all the time. Like it's yeah, and I hate it when I walk by a habitat and it looks like perfect for a certain bird, but the bird's not there. You know, and I'm just like, come on, man, you know better. You know, you a barred owl. You supposed to be right here sitting over this swamp on this cypress tree. Like, this is where you're supposed to be while you're not here, you know? But then that makes it better. Like you said, like, what are the chances that you woke up that morning, brushed your teeth, put your shoes on, made a decision on where you're going to go, what time you're going to get there. And all of that stuff collects itself into this single moment of that bird popping up. And you think to yourself, is this fate? Is this good planning? Is this my vibe? Am I putting out good karma and getting it back from the bird? Like, there's all kinds of thoughts. And it's someone told me one time, like, you know, give yourself credit for getting up and going birding. This is your reward, regardless of what you saw. But like, you were there for that moment, especially when it's just you. There's nobody else there sometimes. And you're just like, this moment is purely unique to my experience. You know, it's incredible. It's incredible.
Love it. You know, Danielle, this season, we've been talking a lot about just the inspiration that Black Birders Week has brought so many of us, right? And Jason had said something that really kind of stuck with me on one of our episodes where we're talking about 20 years from now, there are going to be all these kids that say, you know what, I'm inspired by this person and that person and that person and that person. And because we out here, we're all over the place. And I start thinking about folks out here that are really kind of doing the work for the next generation. And you're writing for the next generation. Let's talk a little bit about a Junior's Birders Handbook. It's super fun. It's engaging for the youngsters. What inspired you to write that guide specifically for kids?
Yeah. So first off, because I feel like there's a gap for a lot of that child education of getting really into like the nitty gritty of how things work. And when I was a kid, I wanted to know all those things, but I didn't have access to even finding out how to learn about those things. So putting it in a book is the perfect way to get kids that are in similar situations as I was to know what they want to know.
Yeah, you're breaking a cycle. Like you knew, like, you know, I had this need. My mom always say, be a part of the solution. Otherwise, you're just part of the problem. So you saw a need, and you created something. I love it. It's fun. I really encourage all the birders out there, parents out there that have kiddos trying to get them into birding. Go check that out, please.
Yeah, and the illustrations in this book are really, really excellent. You know,
Look at her.
Particular. Yeah, I'm like pulling it up. You know, I got like a golden eagle here. Right?
They are really cute.
And this is kind of one of my favorite parts of the books and friends of ours that have written books like this, especially children's books, because we were talking with Dr. Murray Burgess about Sparrow Loves Birds and her partnership with an illustrator. So like, how did that partnership come about with you and Michelle Carlos, and what role did you play in kind of shaping how things were illustrated? What did Michelle bring to the table? Like, talk us through how some of that worked out.
Yeah, well, thankfully my publisher really handled most of the work for that one. They already had someone set aside to illustrate, because there's a series of books of just kids books. There's a junior astrologer's guide. There's a junior witch's guide. And then there's a junior birder's guide and maybe another junior thing, but they're all like illustrated, super cute, written really well, thorough, so thorough. And it's just like topics that there are kids out there that want to know these things and just have a little bit of fun. So here they are for the kids. So they picked out this illustrator for me. But for the my first book, this is a book for people who love birds. I was a little bit more involved with that one. They sent me a list of folks that they had set aside as potential illustrators. I looked through their portfolios and I was like, you know what? Do you have any specifically like Black women? I'm like, I would like to work with a Black woman specifically. And they pulled up another list, and that's how I selected the illustrator for that book. So I'm very happy with that selection process.
Very intentional. We love to see it.
That also goes to that feeling the need, seeing what's not, what's out there, what's not out there, and that intention of realizing, first of all, in the nature space, there aren't a lot of Black women authors. So loving that folks like you and Murray are coming out, and we're able to start to be able to break that cycle, but also realizing even on the illustrator side, that is really cool. But that first book, this is a book for people who love birds. It feels like kind of like this love letter to birders of all kinds. What did you want readers to take away from that book?
That birds are silly. Just loosen up a little bit, have a little bit of fun. Like, do you see that thing? Don't take it so serious.
Have some fun, folks. You heard what she just said. Have some fun. Don't lose sight of that joy. They are silly, right? They are fun. Sometimes you just look at them and it was just like, even like I was out the other day and we have a robin nest under our deck. And it's so cute because like I love just watching them hop around and moving their heads like this. And they look so kind of goofy as they do it, but like it's so adorable. And I'm just like, y'all are amazing. People are like, Dex, how do you get excited for seeing the same bird all the time? I'm like, you just got to be with them. Like literally be there in the moment. Don't worry about how many times you've seen it. Just watch them.
Just watch it. Because they always do something silly. It's just like, why did you do that? And I'm the only person who got to witness it. I can't tell somebody the story. They're going to think I'm nuts.
I think people are probably in my neighborhood. I'm the bird guy in the neighborhood Facebook group and stuff. So like, I think most people understand who I am now, but if I'm out walking my dogs early in the morning and I'm like, oh, no, I'm talking to the birdies. Okay. Like, they're probably like, this dude is nuts. Man, what is this dude doing? Like, who is he talking to like that? I don't see
There'd just be people at their front window like, oh, here you go again. Look at him. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this.
Honey,
You see this? Look at this.
He's crazy. I told you.
This place, I just moved into a new house. And the very first thing that we put into the house was our bird feeder. And it's this like 9-foot tall bird feeder. It has all these different hooks and stuff. And it's just like, no furniture, but the bird feeder is set up. So
Listen,
I hope that set the tone. Yeah, it set the tone for the neighborhood for sure.
Yeah, people know. They're like, oh, this person is about business. Look at that. The moving truck ain't even got here yet. And they got suet and Niger seed and mealworms out there. They're ready to go.
Some cool birds out here. I've been hearing Bob White's like close, very, very close. So I'm just like, I need it in my front yard. I need to see the bird.
I was going to say, like, what's that yard list looking like so far? How's it looking?
Oh, gosh, I haven't technically started writing it down. It's actually in the works. So I like to make them a little tree.
Hey, there we go.
Decorate them. So I have the last place, but once I get this one written up, but so far we have red-winged blackbirds for sure in the backyard. Great-tailed grackles, that's another favorite of mine. House finches, house sparrows, doves, several doves. I think we had some Inca doves recently. I hear meadowlarks back there. I hear about the sparrows. So I'm really excited for this place.
Oh man, I wish I had a meadowlark as a yard bird. That's super dope.
You hear that in the morning. Oh,
it's so beautiful.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. So the book is absolutely tremendous, right? Both of them. And I certainly encourage people to go grab them. We'll put those links in the show notes like we usually do. But there's an additional piece to this process. You had a 500-piece puzzle that you created that came out with everything. Like what made you want to do that as like a supplement and kind of take the birding beyond just the pages of the book?
Yeah. So there's a puzzle and there's magnets too. And I think there's like a poster that goes inside the puzzle too. But again, that was all the publisher's idea. All of my agent, she was just like, yeah, they also want to do a puzzle and magnets. I'm like, let's go for it. Let's do it.
Let's go.
And people love getting extra stuff, and a puzzle is dope, because it lets you spend a little time in it. And it's weirdly a way where you could be a little bit more intimate with the bird ID, because you have to put it together piece by piece for some of the stuff. Yep. So that's like a really, really, really great idea.
It's a pretty fun puzzle.
You do a really good job of making birding approachable with all of these different things. We talked about your intentionality. Why is accessibility, inclusivity so central to the work that you do as a writer, as a biologist, as a Black birder, all of the above?
Yeah, so growing up in Texas, having access to land that you can go and explore has been really difficult. So being that kid that wants to know the names of things and see outside the car window and be able to walk in those ditches and stuff, I didn't have the ability to do that. So now I'm just hoping to be able to give back to those folks that are curious and wanting to do those kinds of things. So making things accessible is just how I want to do it, because it was so difficult for me to access the things that I knew I loved, but I just, there's just a barrier there that I didn't really get to know what it was that I loved so much about it.
I mean, yes. Follow up really quickly. When did you start to know that you love this stuff? Because I've heard you say that, that's come out. I'm just curious, when did you know that this was for you?
No, I've always been the little outdoorsy kid, little bug girl. And I attribute it mostly to my grandparents. They have some land that I was able to explore a little bit, but they live about an hour away. So couldn't go there super often. But when I could, I was, oh my gosh, walking around barefoot, picking up snakes, picking up lizards, playing with ants, doing all that stuff. So it was really it's just in me.
Love it.
That's super incredible. So little bug girl, Danielle's running around, doing her thing, growing up. And when did you first saunter into a cemetery and decide you were going to bird it? Talk about, when did you realize these could be incredible places for birds and wildlife, and what was that realization like?
It was pretty much the first time that I really went birding. It was for a class, my ornithology class. When I learned I could be a wildlife biologist as a profession, I transferred schools and went to A&M Kingsville. And one of my classes, the ornithology class, had us go birding on trips, I think weekly pretty much. Oh. So I went to a cemetery with my professor in my class, and I was like, this is bizarre, but we saw things I've never seen before, like vermilion flycatchers and owls and all kinds of, I'm sure there's a bunch of things, but I can't remember it. That was 15 years ago, maybe. But I had a really good time birding in that cemetery so long ago.
That's super incredible. And number one, that's a solid use of tuition money, is birding every week. So kudos to A&M. Yeah, well done. Solid use right there. I like that. At that moment, did you know, all right, I'm definitely you knew you were going to be a wildlife biologist, but did you know you were going to have that affinity for birds at that moment? Is that what did it? Did that get you thinking about birds and cemeteries at that moment, or did you come back to it later on once you had kind of got further along your wildlife biologist career?
Yeah, I came back around to birding in cemeteries. It took me, I guess 2020 was the year that I really started going back birding in cemeteries, because I didn't really know where I could go, what places to go visit, because of the pandemic had started.
Oh.
So I ended up back in cemeteries because that was the best accessible place I had in Texas.
It makes perfect sense. Yeah.
So it was there, and it was one of the few places that wasn't closed and keeping you away. That is fascinating. Is that when you really start to get that mindful relationship with the cemeteries and how you look at death and birds and things? Is that kind of where that start to
That's
happen?
Pretty much the moment that it happened. It's just oh, these are really good places, and there's no one here except for me and the groundskeepers, so I can just keep walking around. I was snapping photos of breeding pairs of vermilion flycatchers, and I would see birds nesting in trees and stuff, and using the cemetery fountains as water sources. I was like, we got it all right here. And I've been chasing them in parks and stuff, and not having nearly as good of looks as I had in cemeteries. So a big picture moment happened right then.
Wow.
I've heard you talk about where some of your ancestors are buried, and birding there in some different capacities. I found that to be really moving, that connection with the history of your kinfolk on the land, right? And then also kind of being there as a representation of them, enjoying the nature. I found that incredibly powerful. What's one of your favorite moments or memories from birding in a cemetery? Something that was surprising or unexpectedly beautiful, whether it was with your ancestors or otherwise?
Yeah. So surprisingly, the list of birds that I see is not super exciting, but just the vibe of being in cemeteries, especially the family cemeteries, just I try to imagine myself back in their time when they were there walking around and hanging out. It's just like, what was this place like back then? And that's kind of what I mostly meditate on. But some of the cool birds I've seen, definitely painted buntings. They're all over the place this time of year out here. And I had one, it was just perched really close, and I could get like a video on my phone. So that was pretty exciting. And a couple of times I've been having like bad bird luck. And then all of a sudden a huge snake is just at my feet. So I think I really like to see snakes. So it was shocking initially, but I don't know. Something about it felt really comforting at the same time.
You know what we call snakes? Nope ropes.
Nope ropes. Yeah. That's awesome.
I get it. You give them some space, but I think it was a black rat snake. It might have been a water snake or something, but it was a snake that I knew wasn't going to try to hurt me or anything. So I was like, oh, hey, I'll focus on the snake and the plants instead of the birds.
Oh, that's incredible.
I got pretty excited about that Eastern Diamondback we saw.
I forgot about that.
Remember that?
That was a big old...
It took up the whole freaking road, and it had a belly full of something.
I gotta find the videos from that, because the audio of Dexter in the background is hilarious. I gotta figure out where that is and post it on our Instagram.
That thing did something to me, man. My life was on the line. I didn't even care. I was like, look at
Man, that's incredible.
I'm like, what is that? I started freaking out.
Yeah, y'all got pretty close, I think. You might have some really good pictures. I'm excited.
Yeah, I think I got some on my camera, but it was the video of Dexter being like, look at it. It's so big.
I still show that picture of that snake to people in my classes and stuff. I'm like, just look at this thing. Like, just look at this, you know? That is fair. When you talk about, obviously, cemeteries being overlooked places for birding, are there any other spots that people ignore that are secretly great for birding, in your opinion?
Yeah. There's this place in Austin that I like to go to called Hornsby Bend, and it's a wastewater treatment plant, and it stinks. But it gets foul ropes. So I gotta go. I gotta go from time to time and check it out.
Yeah, we have something similar here. Literally across from our water treatment center is this place called Nine Springs Eway, and they pump the water, like the fresh water or the treated water, back into this, and there's all these mud flats, these tiny ponds, and when the shorebirds migrate, they're literally just popping in foul ropes, and you might get you never know, you might get some avocets, you get a snowy egret, you get all these different birds just like in this random little place right off the highway next to a water treatment plant, and it smells awful some days. Like you said, it stinks, but it don't matter. Like, you're out there, and it's literally like, it's not super big. So there's 3 different ponds, and I could do a lap around all 3 ponds and spend like 2 hours there and just see so many birds. So many birds. It's fantastic. I often see osprey coming through there and snatching fish out of the water there and things. So yeah, those little retention ponds are fantastic. Y'all got those in Philly too, Jay?
Yeah, so our most famous one is in like North Philly, and it's a part of North Philly that's North Philly. All right. And it's along these old railroad tracks, and it's been famous the last couple of winters because it's butt cold out here in the wintertime, but we get these vagrants from the West Coast. I think we had an ash-throated flycatcher spend 2 winters there, and it's the same. It's the middle of winter, and the weird part is, like, everything else around you is cold, but the closer you get to this wastewater treatment plant, you feel the temperature warming a little bit because it's emanating its own heat from the bacterial stuff going on. But there's not only that flycatcher, there's wintering eastern phoebes, there's some swallows, like tree swallows, that aren't supposed to be here at all in the wintertime, and they just hang out there over that warm water and eat the bugs that are still living, and it's kind of a cool little stinky oasis. But it's just a wild spot, and it's such a testament to the resiliency of these birds, that they would utilize such a space, especially in the off season when they're not supposed to be here. But I will say, I'm guessing wastewater treatment plants in that Texas sun is a different level than what I'm dealing with up here in Philly, because that's got to be rough. That's like me going to the trash dump. Like, I want to go down to Brownsville and check out some gulls in that trash dump, but I was told, listen, man, you go down there in the summer, you're gonna have to get your lungs together because it's rough.
I was just about to ask, as a goal chaser, as a goal lover, have you been to trash dumps? That's one place I've yet to trod.
I do.
So.
Yeah, I've been to a couple so far. I go to one up here every December for our Christmas bird count, and it's like 40 to 100,000 goals sometimes. And wow. I went with Amar this last couple times, I think. And it's almost too much, it's too much. It's stinky, but it's just so many birds to look through, and to look through that many birds and try to find that much detail is like your brain hurts when you're done. But there's some rock stars out here around me that help me do it. So it's not terrible. But, dumps, wastewater treatment plants are one thing. I think cemeteries are a little bit more, you got to be a little bit more respectful when you enter those places, right? For sure. And I wonder, other than those, like you got any fun retention ponds or anything around you? Because I feel like I'm always finding weird stuff in like man-made retention ponds for townhome developments, which is the only good part about townhome developments,
Yeah. So the place that I moved to actually has a retention pond around the corner, just around the corner. And I just moved in a couple weeks ago, so I'm still getting stuff ready, but I literally could have a scope pointed at this retention pond from my yard. So I'm excited for the winter ducks. I would love to get some winter ducks out here. I'm sure there's some really good ones, but I just got to get a scope real quick. But yes, I love a random retention pond. I've had some really good luck at other ones in the city.
Listen, priorities, like you said, you got the bird feeder. You don't need a couch. Go get the scope. Like this is things like need to happen. So.
Yeah, you can settle in a little bit. That's the beauty of being there, right? Like you just continue to get to watch. You got so much time. I do want to talk a little bit. Jason and I, we said that Black Birders Week and Black AF and STEM and that entire movement would be a common theme for us this season, and just really kind of shining a light not only on the work that they've done, but the work that they continue to do. And you are one of the original co-creators of Black Birders Week. And that movement truly, truly has changed the conversation around who belongs in the outdoors. It's, I know I can speak for myself. Like it was one of those moments I kind of relate it now to a lifer, my spark bird. Where like that Black Birders Week was like my spark bird moment. Like it was like seeing an osprey for the first time snatch a fish out of the water. And I was like, oh my God, what was that? I had the same reaction to Black Birders Week. Like I couldn't believe it. Like I was like, no way. This is not real. Like we're literally all over the place like this. Like it was literally like my mind was blown. I can't get enough of like, I can't say thank you enough. I can't praise the movement enough, because it was just like, it really, really changed my life. And I know it did a lot of other people. What was that first week like for you, emotionally, personally? What was that like for you, Danielle?
Oh my gosh, it was a lot. First off, there was a lot going on. People were getting murdered. Police brutality was rampant, which I feel like it's never stopped. But there was a lot of pain just being thrown at us. And so the positive energy that Black AF and STEM was able to create in that very first year in such a quick time, such a short week, it just so electric. The energy in that time was something else. I'm really happy that everybody was able to pull together and bring such an amazing event that still is getting celebrated. I'm really happy to have been part of it.
And it's really incredible too, because every year it gets renewed with these kind of new prompts and thoughts and guests and activities. And like every year I'm like, oh, I have to go follow this person on social media because they're fantastic. Yeah. I had no idea they existed, right? There's a couple of those folks, and it just grows every year. And I think that's, in my mind, in 20 years from now, like Dexter said, the young folks of today being able to be adults and say who they were inspired by. Like, I don't know, when it comes to Black Birders, I don't know that there's going to be anything more influential than Black Birders Week, right? Like that really feels like a pivotal moment. And I look forward to it every year for the general, that kind of renewal of that sense that Dexter talked about, of like this having your mind blown, because every new experience, every new birder, right? It fills up my cup every year. And I want to give you the same thank you that we've given other folks that have come on, to just say thank you, for the effort and the work. I know it was pretty much all volunteer work. And, I hope we can continue to follow the lead of people like you and Black AF and STEM as we continue to go through this journey. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for participating. We really couldn't be here without all the folks pitching in and wanting to form community, that's the first step. You can offer it, but folks that want to accept that invitation, I'm very happy to have been able to meet you and all the other folks through Black Birders Week.
Yeah, and I mean it's been going on for almost half a decade here. So like, what do you think?
Oh my gosh.
What do you think we need to see moving forward? What still needs to change? What are your hopes and dreams for Black Birders Week?
Yeah, I think we need to see each other in person, is what I think.
That's what I'm talking about.
I would really love to have a Black Birders Week that is in person and we can go birding together. I know it's going to be a lot to work on. It's going to be a lot of logistics and stuff, but I'm positive that we can do it. And just, oh my gosh, I can't. I'm just imagining the joy, the bird joy that's going to be emanating from that type of festival. So
Black Birders Week Festival.
Yeah, it live and in person.
See, the hard part is going to be figuring out where to do it.
That's the dream right there. Getting all the homies, like
yes, all of us. I think y'all need to come to Texas. I don't think enough of y'all coming down and visit Texas enough.
I've never been to Texas.
I've been to High Island, but that was flying into Houston and driving south. But like I don't know if you heard us when you joined, but I was complaining about how big Texas is and how long it takes me to drive across it. But
it is huge. I'm sorry.
But you're by Austin, right?
Yep, I'm by Austin, and I'll go to Houston and Dallas, but I'll go to the coast. I'll go to the coast and I'll go to Houston, the other coast. So,
but I feel like Austin's got the right vibe to have us come through, right?
Yeah, Austin has a nice vibe, and there's barbecue. There's some spots. There's some nice swimming places. Yeah, you can get it all. A nice little outdoorsy.
I'm gonna have to put a pin in the ground for Austin because I was saying the hardest part is gonna be figuring out where to do it, right? And what scale to do it at the first time, right? Because it'll be a learning activity either way.
I was just thinking, if it's Black Birders Week, we got to put the Black Power fist up, really drive it home. And there's some areas in Austin, but I feel like another city might really have that feeling that we're looking for, that energy.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. That week, and like I said, the excitement that I get every time I participate in Black Birders Week, and I virtually meet new people and follow new people, and I get new perspective from new folks. Like, how have you seen that going, right? Like, as people build communities and connections, right? And people that I think for a large part didn't feel seen before. Like, how are you feeling about that? Do you still feel like that is on track for what Black AF and STEM is meaning to do?
Yeah. I definitely feel like it is going on track, and I've been able to make more connections. And whenever I do meet like a new outdoorsy Black person, I'm like, hey, have you ever heard about Black Birders Week? And so I kind of like, if they're not birders, just like, I don't care if you become a birder, but like, this is a really great network for you to meet other folks like you in the things that you like to do. So I think it's going well.
Awesome. I think I agree. First of all, I think it's going well as well. I see all these people. Like, I remember when we were together down in Georgia, they encouraged us all to at least connect with one person there and try to do something. That's something for Jason and I was this podcast. And that's led, us, creating this podcast has led to even more connections and different things that I never thought was possible in the birding community. I mean, we were just at Biggest Week in Birding together, Jason and I. Spreading that word of just like birding is for everyone. And it looks like me, it looks like Jason, it looks like Danielle, it looks like all of our homies that we see online in Black Birders Week. And every time I get the opportunity to speak or take a stage and talk about what birding is, I make sure I talk about that. I make sure I talk about that it is for everyone, that a lot of these, white dominated traditional birding spaces are not reflective of what birding is. And I think thanks to the work that you all have done, you're now setting it up where we can look ahead and we can think about the next generation of Black and brown birders and naturalists and, herpetologists and mammalogists and all of these different things where we can change the way that looks, and people can say they can see themselves now in these different roles. So what are your hopes for that next generation of Black and brown birders or nature lovers? What are your hopes for that next generation?
Man, I really just hope they have a connection to the land. And it's something that's hard to explain, but like when you have that type of relationship, it's just like, I don't know, there's just a type of peace that kind of falls over you. You always have like a friend around, no matter where you are. You always have nature or dirt or the land, and just really just find your own footing, feel the feeling of home. And I want them to be able to feel that. I don't want them to not have a connection to what's been around us for generations.
That is so well put. And it's such a common theme among our guests of nature and the access to nature being an entity that they can rely on, whether it's for joy, for healing, for peace. Like almost everyone has that. And it's you have to be intentional about trying to go get it and taking the time to care for yourself to go find it. Right. And I think that's the message that Blackbirders Week and people like you and me and Dexter are trying to get out there. Right. And it's a lovely one too, because you can do it anywhere, right? People always say like nature is right outside, And although there are some, logistical things people have to work out here and there, right, and get support for, it's there, and hopefully we'll be there for many years to come. But that's such a beautiful sentiment that you just shared there. You've already done a lot. 2-time author, books, public speaking, community building. What is next for the homie Danielle? Any new projects? I feel like there's something coming.
And again, being out in nature, like I just get inspired by so many things I see. It's just like, oh, that's an idea right there. And if I combine that with this. So my goals now are to make some pollinator gardens essentially in some of my family cemeteries. So I'll be working in the ground, working in the cemetery, putting some nice plants and stuff that can manage themselves. That's the key thing there. I don't want to come back out here and they're all dead. Native stuff that's going to help the ecosystem, but also look beautiful for folks that are coming. Maybe they can pick a little bouquet and put it on their loved ones' graves and stuff. But that's what I'm doing now, is meeting the folks that are already managing these cemeteries, building a connection with them, and putting out these ideas of, hey, if you want to mow less, we can do this and this and this. So trying to figure out a way to make everybody have a win-win-win kind of experience.
Ooh, I love that. Pollinator gardens at the cemetery.
Such and like in my mind, I'm like, how have we not thought of that yet? Like, sometimes I'm just like, that makes so much more sense than just grass everywhere.
And it's like,
you think about it, beautiful grass. They're typically all these old growth trees, and like there's not a ton of traffic usually in there, right? Like it's undisturbed. Like when you really start to think about it, you're like, this makes sense.
Perfect.
Like, this makes so much sense.
Just put some flowers there. They're so pretty.
I definitely think there's a movement heading towards these ecologically responsible cemeteries, even from because I joke all the time, like put me in, you can cremate me or whatever, but you can put me in one of those things where you bury me as a tree. I've seen them where they have it as the actual human body in a pod and you go down in the ground with the tree. And I've seen also where they mix in your remains with the soil and the seed for the tree. So where literally the atoms in your body are sustaining that tree or sustaining that meadow. Like that part is incredible for me, right?
Beautiful.
Right. And like just in my mind, it's like that the atoms in my body could be providing pollen for some native bees at some point. Like that gives me goosebumps, right? More than just about anything else associated with death. And that connection of renewal is not something we talk about super often with our Black communities, right? We're very religious communities, right? And so those conversations don't happen as often. And I think they should, because it gives us our own connection to renewal and life in places that are generally sad and reflective for us. So that's really beautiful. I want to come visit your family's pollinator burial spaces.
Yeah, absolutely. But yes, definitely have that conversation with your family. I know it is weird to bring up, but think about what you are going to do, because the plans death sneaks up on everybody pretty much. So have something in plan. You can really make it a beautiful ceremony. You can be buried loose in the ground and become a meadow of flowers. And there's places that will help you accommodate for all of that. And I have all this just trapped in my head and nowhere to put it. So.
Oh, you gonna figure it out.
If we've learned anything,
you're gonna figure that out. You talked about the vermilion flycatcher, painted bunting today. What's another bird that's had this lasting impact on you? What did it teach you?
Ooh, I gotta get a lesson from it too. Okay. Okay, so at the place that I used to live, I used to be able to see like Franklin's gulls migrate through the area. And it was like a whole string of them, like hundreds of Franklin gulls just moving.
Speaking my language.
I know, I'm like, you're getting Jason all excited right
now. And they would just be a whole trail of them just flying over so gently. And then I wouldn't see them until the fall. And here they are going the opposite direction. And then I wouldn't see them again. So just like being able to watch those little cycles of the birds coming and going and getting to know them, like, oh, there's my neighbor Franklin gulls. There they are going to their migration route. So I think that's a lot of fun to be able to watch. So Franklin gulls, I don't know what lesson there is there, but
I love that you called him your neighbor.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah,
that's fantastic.
Right, I love that. Like he's like Mr. Rogers vibe, you know. Like it's just my neighbors going back and forth to their summer cottage, you know, back down to their wintering grounds, you know. Like that's really beautiful. And neighbor denotes proximity and connection, at least to a space and to a land. So I love that. I'm gonna shamelessly steal that from you and start calling birds my neighbors.
And be like, I know that one.
Yeah, I know that little homie. It's funny. I love you bring up migration because when Jason and I, when we were in Biggest Week, the kids asked us something and they were like, what is like one fact about birds that is kind of blows your mind, like that you find super interesting? And we both talked about migration and the fact that it is this marvel, right? Like, where are you going, homie? How did you fly 1,000 miles and back? Found me again, came to the same place, dodging all these predators and storms, and you ain't got no GPS or no maps or nothing. Just show up. Like, that is crazy. Like, that, the neighbors are amazing.
Yes, they are. The built-in GPS unit they got up here, I really want to know how that works because it's a miracle.
Let me tell you something. I'm listening to Jennifer Ackerman's book, The Genius of Birds. She's got a chapter about it, and they start with like homing pigeons and what they've done and what they learned from them, and then they expand out to like Arctic terns, and then they talk about this study where they grabbed a bunch of white-crowned sparrows from Oregon and they flew them to like New York, and it was 15 adults and 15 juveniles, or like recently fledged birds. The adults, when they tracked them, once they got in New York, they immediately headed for Southern California, straight back across. The juveniles didn't know where to go. So like, it's just wild that like, no matter where you put these birds on the planet, as long as all the gears are working right, like they know where to go. I'm getting ready to go to Milwaukee to look for this gull. And like, I know I'm going to have to use my phone and Uber and like, you know, but there's no way I'm getting home by myself, you know, like it's mesmerizing. You just got me so excited, Danielle. I want to go outside and bird like right now.
And it sounds like there's a fair amount of like learning too, since the juveniles weren't able to know what to do. Someone had to teach them to be able to do that. And so, we've actually had weird birds migrate with golden cheek warblers. And then, so we have this like weird little range of Hutton's vireos that are completely disjunct from the western range of Hutton's vireos. And it's because they followed a golden cheek warbler randomly to up here. And they were like, hey, we like it. We like it up here. So the learning of birds is really incredible.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
It's always teaching us something. I always tell people that's the one thing I love about birds is I'm always learning. Like always. Every single day. Every time I meet somebody, like these new experiences, fall, winter, you know, spring, summer, like there's always something that's happening. And I'm like, thank you. Oh my God, never heard of that. Oh, what? Yeah, this is fascinating. There's
so much to learn. That's why birds are the best.
Yeah, they really are. They really are. I have I finally was successful as far as I know, fledging 3 eastern bluebirds in my little backyard here. So I got home from, I was down in Maryland for a week, and I came back and like the adults are still here and they're carrying food somewhere, but the babies aren't in the nest anymore. And it was just about 18 days. So I figured they hopped out and they're under a bush somewhere. But the wild part is a house wren moved in and started building a totally different nest on top of the old bluebird nest because house wrens like fill up the whole box. And now my brain is just like, was this already a known transaction? Did you come up to the bluebirds and say, hey, I got next? As soon as y'all are done in there, I'm gonna go ahead and I'll just slide in there. And the house wren is like guarding the bird feeders the same way the bluebirds did. The bluebirds were, the only bird they chased away was the common grackle. They let the finches in, they let the cardinals in, they let everybody else in. But if the grackle came around, they chased them away. And now guess what the house wren is doing? Letting everybody else chill, but the poor grackle, who literally the grackle brought their family today. I watched them feed a couple babies some of the stuff from my platform feeder, right? And here's the house wren just being an ass. You know, I'm like, homie, you ain't even been here. The grackle's been here the whole time just trying to eat. Like, you know, they can't catch a break.
There's some bird beef he didn't catch. There's some bird beef that went on.
Yeah, there's something going on over there. But it's just this wondrous thing just and I have a tiny little backyard. It's not huge. So like just the fact that I get to experience that here, you know, is really, really a blessing. So
I need the nest box up.
Yeah, it wasn't successful last year. I lost the eggs due to something. I don't know if it was a snake or what, but it just disappeared one day, and so did the birds. So when they came back this year, I was like, all right, we're going to get this right. I'm going to slide some live mealworms out there every now and again just to give you a break. And it worked, so we'll see.
Great.
This has been a really great conversation. I know we're going to be running out of time here in a minute, but like, where can people follow you and your work and support your work more importantly?
Yeah, you can find me on, my website is probably best. It's dbelleny@car.co, but I can send that to y'all so you can just click a link.
Yeah, we'll put it into the show notes too.
That'll link you to most of my things that I got going on. I even got one of my cemetery birding videos from Black Birders Week last year. I gave a whole spiel about how important cemeteries can be. That's also on that website too, as well as on my socials and stuff.
Awesome. Yes, we will definitely link to all that. But before we officially let you go, we started something new with Karina when we had Karina on, this little rapid fire. And it's something that we kind of
It's my favorite part now.
Yeah, it's kind of fantastic. I don't think it's going away. So what we do is we just ask you a quick question and whatever pops in your mind first, we go with that. All right?
Okay, all right.
All right, Danielle, it's time for a little rapid fire. All right.
Best bird you've seen in a cemetery?
Yellow warbler?
Ooh.
Greyhorned owl.
Ooh, solid.
This is hard.
Most surprising animal encounter, non-bird, while cemetery birding.
These rock squirrels love to live in one of the cemeteries. Oh, actually, wait, no. Oh, sorry. I saw a peacock. A peacock is a bird, but rock squirrels are cute. Sorry, it's rapid.
Do they like do that? The rock squirrels do like that little whistle, or is that like woodchucks? So. No, okay.
I don't think rock squirrels do that.
All right. Favorite cemetery you've ever birded? You got it. You stumped there already.
Yeah. There's a cemetery that I visited in Oklahoma. I was just driving through, and it was just really pretty. So I'll say that one, but I just can't remember the name of it.
All right, somewhere in Oklahoma. Shout out to Oklahoma.
Yeah. Oklahoma. What bird shows up in cemeteries more than people actually expect?
I think, owls, but I think that's expected. People think they're spooky. So, but that's a reliable place for me to see owls. I see them nesting there a lot too.
I like it.
You know, I wonder if that has to do with the fact that it's not heavily traveled as much as all these other spaces. Like they don't see humans as often in cemeteries because we are averse to them because we don't know how to deal with death a lot of the time. So, that's a really good one, actually. There's something there on owls and cemetery. Maybe the beginnings of a new book or something. I don't know.
Hey.
All right. Spring or fall migration, which one is better in a cemetery?
Dang it. Y'all keep these are hard questions. Oh man. I'm gonna say spring. Spring because birds are just easier to find.
Sure.
Yeah, they're singing, they're brighter. Love it. Especially early spring when the leaves aren't all full yet.
Yes.
Perfect. All right, one last one. If the Cemeteries Birder Club had an official mascot bird, who would it be?
I love these, Dexter. You did a good job with these questions.
I don't know. Oh my gosh. Because
you cannot get off. You got to give us one.
Okay, I'm gonna say this is out of left field. I'm gonna say the monk parakeet, or I'm gonna say monk parakeet. I'm gonna stick with it. I really want to go to Greenwood Cemetery up in Brooklyn. I think that's good. And they have like this weird colony of monk parakeets. I know they're not native, but they're super cute and super cool to see, and they're really well known for living out there. So yeah,
you're gonna have to reach out to the homie Indigo Goodson Fields, who's regularly at the Brooklyn Botanical Garden, to take you over to that cemetery. I'm sure she would love to do that.
Yes.
That'd be awesome.
This has been fantastic, Danielle. I gave you the hardest rapid fire questions to date.
I didn't answer it very rapidly, but I did good.
It don't matter. It was so fun. Thank you so much for being with us today. This was what I expected and some. I've been really excited to chat with you. So thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me chat about cemeteries. I'm happy to do it again.
Absolutely. And we got to get on figuring out how to do that Black Birders Festival. We start
Absolutely.
putting the minds together.
That is something I think would be very, very special, just to get us all together like that, and all that brain power and all that bird joy.
And I'll just put a plug out there for folks who want to help organize Black Birders Week. Just come and help. Just if you're a Black birder and you, or not even a birder, but if you would like to help, just hang out with us and we will incorporate you with the planning. It's oftentimes just a couple of us, but we can do a lot of things together.
I didn't know it was open like that. So folks can just kind of roll in and say, hey, I'd love to pitch in.
Yeah, come and help. We'll get you in coordination with how we organize things and how we meetings and et cetera. But yeah, it's not closed.
Oh, fantastic.
It's open. Feel free to come in and come out as you need to.
All right, folks, you heard it here. Let's all jump in.
Homies, y'all hear that? Well, I want to thank everybody for joining us today on the Bird Joy podcast. We hope you enjoyed exploring the world of birding in cemeteries with Danielle today. Shout out to the BIPOC Birding Club of Wisconsin. You can check out what we got going on the rest of this summer. We got birds and bats at dawn and all type of fun stuff. Stationary birding events with the Feminist Bird Club. We got some fun stuff going on. BIPOCbirdingclub.org.
Yes. And until next time, homies, as usual, you can find me and the homies from In Color Birding Club here in Philly at incolorbirding.org. We got some fun things happening for the summer. A visit to a private island on the Delaware River. We got our first game night happening in July. So a little wingspan, some bird trivia, some other stuff, right? And then we'll, kind of head into late summer and get ready for them shorebirds to start coming back through. So until then, homies.
Please share, subscribe, and shout out this podcast to all your fellow birders. Help us spread a little bird joy.
Peace.